Hi, today I'm going to talk to you about what you have in the system folder on the Germain Workspace. So let's take a look. The very first thing that you have is authentication. Authentication, like user teams. So if you have you start using Germain, you want to give access to a number of different teams, and you want to set the visibility, permission, accesses, and so on. So this is the place to go. This is when users they go onto the Germain workspace, they know the URL. So I'm just going to go here. They know the URL, but they don't have access to it. So they just request access, and as a result, there will be an entry here with a button that an administrator can click on to approve the access or disapprove the access. This is to define the roles. So this is all customizable, but we've pre-configured the roles the way we think it makes sense. I went a little fast here, but this is to define the teams. So you have different teams: developers, marketers, sales, business organizations, and they may have access to different dashboards, different visibility, who is entitled to manage those dashboards, and so on. So that's what you would get, and you have the users eventually. The users were, you just define everybody that has access to the environment. You set the data retention. You set the display settings. So this is because Germain is very customizable. You can customize each and every field that like even the display setting title here, potentially you could change it if you would want it to. So that's where things are. Distribution list. So this is, since our product also sends out alerts, SMS or email. These are the distribution lists that you create to send out alerts, and to who. The engine settings. So one of the components, Germain has 7 components. One of them is an engine. It does log analysis, database analysis, connect to a REST API, and so on. Like does real-time analysis and task execution in real time as well. So this is where to set the auto configuration capability of those engines, what features are going to run within the engine, and where is the engine going to be deployed. So there's plenty of details in there I'm not going to go into right now, but it's available online in our documentation. So this is a log parser for an Apache directory, for instance. And then you have the customization of those engines if this is something that you want to get into, where like you can write code pretty much to tell what our engine to do, how to analyze some data, some logs, some database content, and so on. This is the management section of the dashboard, where you run a production environment and you want to stop the Germain product. So during a release of your website, a new versions of your website or your CRM platform, you don't want the Germain monitoring tool to send out any email alerts or collect any data. So that's where you would set that up. This is the presentation mode. So that's at the top here. You see there is something called presentation mode, and so you check one of those, and it's a rotative dashboard presentation capability. So here it will this specific one has 15, 20 different dashboard that will be displayed with a set interval, like a frequency. So you can just so it's very useful in a war room, for instance, where you can basically dictate how many dashboard do you want to be displayed on the wall, and how long do you want each dashboard to be displayed for, and so on. So that's where you would go. And you would get basically the detail of the duration at which the dashboard is going to be displayed. These are all the filters that you want to pre-configure for your team, because some users, they don't actually have time to spend just filtering things. They don't even know that they can filter on some criteria. As an administrator, you may want to be able to pre-configure as many filters as possible, very specific to each team. Like, you want to have a set of filters for the marketing team, another set of filter for the digital ops team, another one for the developers, and those filters obviously are going to be very different. um, the system settings. So this is if you can't figure out how to customize Germain on the workspace, one the last resource is to go to the what we call the config console. So that's the back door of our product. And basically, so if you go to the root of that, it's another user interface on its own. It's when we first launched our product 10 years ago, 10 plus years ago, this is all we had to customize our product. And there's still plenty of things that are available in here that are just not available on the workspace. So if ever you can't figure things out on the workspace on how to customize Germain, then potentially you would go to the config console. Templates used by report and by email are all available here. So that's not the place to update a template. Ideally, you would want to update a template in the SLA section. I explained that into another video where basically, they're all, a template will never be used unless it is sent for the purpose of alerting somebody or reporting some metric to somebody. And so it's tied to an SLA. So if you need to update a template, the best is to go to the SLA section and there just find the template, the SLA and the template, and click the edit template link here, because that's the place where you would really want to do the update in context of the SLA that you've just picked. What else do we have in the system section? I've covered the filters, the system, the template, the time range. So this is for the time range that you have on a dashboard, any analytics dashboard. So I'll take an example here, maybe this one. You have this panel here, and all these different pre-configured options: current hour, last hour, business hours, and so on. So that's what it is. If you want to add another time range to this list of options, list of time ranges that we have here, then that's where you would go to define the time range. The UX session replay settings. So this is if you want to to further define what can be monitored by the real user monitoring feature that we have. So there's a lot of things that it's most customers, they never get there, and most customers use what we've pre-configured by default. But potentially you may end up having the need of like customizing what's being monitored by our real user monitoring capability, and that's where potentially you would go. That's it for the system, what you've got in the system section of the folder. I hope it was clear enough and useful. If you need more details with regard to what you can find in there, just on the documentation, just go to the management section, and the management section will help you, further understand, some of those capabilities that are available on the system portion of the workspace. Thanks for watching.